The Legend of Juan Tamad. The Legend of Juan Tamad. The foolish yet endearing lazy boy. In the heart of Filipino folklore lies the unforgettable character of Juan Tamad, or Lazy John. While his name has become synonymous with extreme laziness, his tales are rich with humor, irony, and unexpected lessons. Juan Tamad's antics often showcase his foolishness, but hidden within his misadventures are reflections on human nature, clever twists of fate, and moments that reveal the consequences of choosing idleness over effort. The birth of laziness. Juan Tamad was born in a small, quiet village where hard-working farmers toiled from dawn till dusk. His parents, known for their diligence, tried their best to raise Juan to be responsible and industrious. But from an early age, Juan preferred to avoid any task that required effort. While others gathered firewood, tilled the soil, or mended their homes, Juan would lie under a shady tree, daydreaming about food, riches, and a life of comfort, without ever lifting a finger to achieve it. Despite their frustration, his parents believed Juan's laziness was just a phase. Little did they know, Juan's tendency to avoid work would lead to some of the most ridiculous, and often hilarious, situations the village had ever seen. The Tale of the Guava Tree. One of the most well-known stories of Juan Tamad tells of his infamous encounter with a guava tree. One afternoon, Juan was wandering aimlessly when he stumbled upon a guava tree laden with ripe, golden fruit. His stomach grumbled, and his mouth watered at the sight. Yet rather than climbing the tree to pick the fruit, a task that would require some effort, Juan lay down beneath the tree. Surely, Juan thought, one of these guavas will fall eventually. I just have to wait. And so he waited, and waited, and waited. Hours passed as Juan lay there, staring longingly at the guavas hanging above him. Birds flew by, the wind rustled the branches, and the sun began to set. But still, Juan refused to move. As darkness fell and hunger gnawed at his belly, Juan sighed and muttered, "What a shame! If only that guava knew how hungry I am." His laziness became legendary, and the tale spread across villages as a warning. Waiting for success without effort brings nothing but hunger and disappointment. The Tale of the Salt Trade. In another misadventure, Juan's mother once asked him to deliver a sack of salt to the market. Knowing Juan's tendency for laziness, she reminded him, "Be careful not to get the salt wet, or it will all dissolve." Juan set off, grumbling about the heat and the distance. As he crossed a shallow river, Juan, too lazy to carry the heavy sack on his back, decided to place it on a raft and let the current carry it downstream. "I'll just meet the salt at the other side," he told himself. But as Juan strolled lazily along the riverbank, the raft tilted, and the salt began to dissolve. By the time Juan reached the other side, only a wet, empty sack remained. When his mother asked what had happened, Juan shrugged and said, "The river must have been thirsty." The Tale of the Crab Delivery. On another occasion, Juan's mother asked him to take a basket of live crabs to the market. Knowing Juan's laziness, she warned him sternly, "Keep a close eye on the crabs. They'll crawl away if you're careless." Juan, however, had a different idea. Rather than carrying the basket himself, he set the crabs down on the road and said, "Go on ahead to the market. I'll meet you there." Naturally, the crabs scuttled off in all directions, disappearing into bushes, streams, and holes in the ground. By the time Juan reached the market, his basket was empty. When his mother scolded him for his foolishness, Juan simply shrugged and said, "I told them to meet me here. They must have gotten lost." The Tale of the Broken Pot. One day, Juan's mother asked him to fetch water from the river using a clay pot. Along the way, Juan grew tired and decided to take a nap. To avoid carrying the pot back and forth, he placed the pot in a small stream, thinking the current would carry it home on its own. When Juan returned home empty-handed, his mother asked, "Where's the pot?" With a lazy grin, Juan replied, "It's floating its way here. I told it where we live." When the pot never arrived, Juan scratched his head and muttered, "Maybe I should have given it better directions." The Lesson of Juan Tamad. Though Juan Tamad's tales are humorous, they often carry subtle wisdom. His laziness, while comical, reflects the dangers of complacency, over-reliance on luck, and the consequences of neglecting responsibility. While Juan's antics often end in failure, they remind listeners that success requires patience, effort, and determination. Yet, despite his flaws, Juan TAMAD's stories continue to charm generations. He is not purely a fool. Sometimes, his laziness reveals a surprising cleverness. He finds unconventional solutions, albeit impractical ones, and faces misfortune with unwavering optimism. In this way, Juan TAMAD endures as a memorable figure in Filipino folklore, a reminder that while dreams and desires may hang above us like ripe guavas, they will never fall unless we reach for them ourselves. The Adventures of PILANDOK. The clever trickster of Filipino folklore. In the rich tapestry of Filipino folklore, few characters shine as brightly, or as cunningly, as PILANDOK, the clever and mischievous trickster. Often portrayed as a small but shrewd creature, sometimes a mouse deer or a cunning young man, PILANDOK defies powerful rulers, greedy oppressors, and fearsome beasts using only his wits. Though physically weak, his sharp mind makes him a formidable figure, earning him a place among the most iconic tricksters in Southeast Asian mythology. The origin of PILANDOK's cleverness. Legends say that PILANDOK was born into poverty, living in a small coastal village where the strong preyed upon the weak. From a young age, PILANDOK realized that brute strength alone would never win him success, but his quick thinking and ability to spin words like silk could turn even the most dire situation in his favor. With a sharp tongue and an uncanny ability to turn misfortune into opportunity, PILANDOK became known far and wide for outsmarting tyrants, rulers, and foolish foes alike. The Tale of PILANDOK and the Greedy Sultan. One of PILANDOK's most famous adventures tells of his encounter with a powerful yet greedy sultan who taxed his people heavily and hoarded his wealth. Despite his riches, the sultan remained paranoid, believing someone would eventually outwit him and steal his gold. Hearing of the sultan's cruelty, PILANDOK devised a plan. Disguising himself as a nobleman from a distant land, PILANDOK requested an audience with the sultan. He spoke in grand, flowery language, claiming he possessed a magical golden turtle that could lay golden eggs. Curious and greedy, the sultan demanded proof. PILANDOK produced a small, ordinary turtle painted gold. He explained that the turtle only laid its precious eggs when treated with great kindness and kept in the finest silk-lined chamber. Eager for more wealth, the sultan agreed to PILANDOK's outrageous demands, including a lavish feast for the turtle, a golden tray filled with jewels, and a silk pillow for the creature to rest upon. As the sultan tended to the fake golden turtle, PILANDOK quietly slipped away with a sack of gold, leaving behind nothing but a bewildered sultan and a very ordinary turtle. The Tale of PILANDOK and the Crocodiles. In another tale, PILANDOK found himself trapped on one side of a river filled with hungry crocodiles. Unable to swim across safely, he devised a plan. PILANDOK called out to the crocodiles, claiming he had been sent by the king of the jungle to count the crocodiles and ensure they received their fair share of land. The crocodiles, eager to be recognized, agreed to line up across the river from one bank to the other. "Stand still while I count you," PILANDOK declared, stepping on their backs one by one, pretending to count each crocodile. When he reached the other side, he grinned and said, "Thank you for your help, but you're all too many for me to count." With that, PILANDOK disappeared into the trees, leaving the furious crocodiles snapping at empty air. The Tale of PILANDOK and the Datu's Banquet. Once, PILANDOK was invited to a grand feast hosted by a powerful Datu, chieftain. The Datu, who knew PILANDOK's cunning ways, refused to let him enter the hall in his simple clothes, mocking him for being poor. Undeterred, PILANDOK returned dressed in elegant robes borrowed from a merchant. This time, the Datu welcomed him with honor. Yet once inside, PILANDOK did something strange. Instead of eating the food, he began rubbing the rich dishes on his silk sleeves and muttering, "Eat well, my fine robes. It's you they respect, not me." The Datu laughed, but understood the lesson. True worth lies not in appearances, but in a person's character and cleverness. The Tale of Pilandok and the King's Challenge. In one daring tale, the king of a neighboring kingdom issued a challenge. Anyone who could trick him would be granted a share of his kingdom's wealth. Pilandok accepted the challenge. Knowing the king prided himself on his intelligence, Pilandok crafted a scheme. He approached the king and said, "Your Majesty, I've heard you are the wisest man alive. Surely you can guess what I have hidden inside this cloth bag." The king, eager to prove his cleverness, confidently guessed it was gold. "No," said Pilandok. "Jewels?" guessed the king. "No," said Pilandok again. Frustrated, the king demanded to see what was inside. Pilandok opened the bag, revealing nothing but air. "You see?" Pilandok laughed. "You guessed wrong, because you assumed there was something of value when in truth, it was nothing at all." Impressed by his wit, the king rewarded Pilandok handsomely, acknowledging that cleverness often triumphs over strength. Pilandok's legacy: the power of wit and wisdom. Pilandok's stories endure as some of the most beloved trickster tales in Filipino folklore. Though mischievous and sometimes selfish, Pilandok often directs his cunning against greedy rulers, arrogant tyrants, or dangerous beasts, making him a symbol of the powerless overcoming the powerful through intellect. His tales serve as a reminder that even the smallest, seemingly weakest individual can triumph with courage, quick thinking, and a clever mind. Whether crossing rivers on the backs of crocodiles, tricking sultans out of their gold, or teaching arrogant rulers a lesson, Pilandok continues to inspire laughter and admiration across generations, a timeless reminder that the mind can be sharper than any sword.